What if the two children you saved in a hospital hallway called you mom? And their father was the one-night stand you ran from 3 years ago? I walked into that hospital with a box of supplies and walked out with a family I never saw coming. But here is the thing they do not tell you about love. It does not ask if you are ready. It finds you in the most unexpected place on a rainy Tuesday in a hallway that smelled like antiseptic and fear, and it stays. You want to know how four strangers became something unbreakable. You want to know what happens when a man who searched for 3 years finally finds the woman who disappeared before sunrise. You want to know if the little boy with the honey-colored eyes beats the illness that tried to steal him. You want to know if the little girl who never let go of her brother's hand finally learns she does not have to be brave alone. This is not a fairy tale. This is a story about people who had every reason to walk away and chose to stay. So, if you have ever wondered if love can find you when you least expect it, if you have ever questioned whether you are strong enough to hold on when everything falls apart, if you have ever needed to believe that someone out there will stay, then you need to hear this story. Stay until the end, because the ending is not what you think, and the moral will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Before we dive into this incredible story, do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon button so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. I never thought I would see him again. That night was a whisper I had tucked away. A single, wild thread in the quiet fabric of my life. I pulled into the hospital parking lot on a Tuesday. The sky was the color of old steel. Rain had been threatening all morning. I was there for a routine supply drop. Off. My small nonprofit delivered care packages to the pediatric wing. I had been doing it for 3 years. It was my way of giving back. My way of filling a silence I did not understand yet. The automatic doors slid open with a soft hiss. I smelled antiseptic and floor wax. Behind that, the faint sweetness of plastic and medicine. My sneakers squeaked on the polished linoleum. I adjusted the box in my arms. It was heavy with blankets and stuffed animals. I nodded to the volunteer at the front desk. She gave me a familiar, tired smile. I turned the corner toward the elevator. That is when I heard it. A child crying. Not a tantrum cry. A deep, hollow sound. The kind of cry that comes from a place without words. I paused. My heart gave a small, tight clench. I told myself it was none of my business. I took another step. Then I heard a second voice. Softer. A whimper that had given up on becoming a cry. I lowered the box onto a plastic chair against the wall. My legs moved before my mind could stop them. I followed the sound to a small waiting area. It was an alcove with pale blue walls. There were plastic dinosaurs stuck to a low table. Two small children sat on a bench. They could not have been older than 4. A boy and a girl. Twins. Their faces were wet. Their little shoulders shook with the effort of being quiet. They were dressed in matching shirts with faded cartoon characters. No shoes. Just socks with grips on the bottom. They were holding hands so tightly their knuckles were white. No adult was with them. I knelt down a few feet away. I did not want to scare them. Hello, I said, soft. The little boy looked up. His eyes were red-rimmed and wide. The girl kept her gaze on the floor. Are you waiting for someone? I asked. The boy opened his mouth. No sound came out. He swallowed hard. Daddy, he whispered. Daddy went with the doctor. He squeezed his sister's hand. He said, stay, but we are scared. I felt something crack open in my chest. I understand, I said. Being scared is the worst. I sat down on the floor. I did not stand up. I made myself small. My name is Nora. What are your names? The boy looked at his sister. She gave a tiny nod. I am Leo, he said. This is Lily. Leo and Lily. I repeated. Those are beautiful names. Lily finally lifted her head. Her eyes were the color of honey. They looked ancient and broken all at once. We want our mom, she whispered. But she is in heaven. The air left my lungs. I nodded slowly. That is very hard, I said. I am so sorry. I did not say it gets easier. I did not offer empty comfort. I just sat there with them in their small, enormous grief. Leo slid off the bench. He took 2 steps and stopped in front of me. He studied my face. You have kind eyes, he said. Lily came to stand beside him. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Will you stay with us until Daddy comes? She asked. Her voice was so fragile, like a bird with a broken wing. Of course, I said. I will stay right here. I sat on the floor of that hallway for 47 minutes. I know because I watched the clock above the water fountain. Leo told me about their dog, who was old. Lily showed me how she could make her thumb disappear, and I told them about the time I tried to bake a cake and set off the fire alarm. Leo laughed. It was a rusty, unpracticed sound. Lily smiled. It was the smallest curve of her lips, but it was there. Then I heard footsteps, fast, urgent. A man rounded the corner. He was tall. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair was disheveled, like he had been running his hands through it for hours. His face was pale and familiar. My entire body went cold, then hot, then cold again. It was him. The man from that night. 3 years ago. The one night I allowed myself to be reckless. The one night I told myself I deserved to feel wanted. That I had left before sunrise. That I had not even known his last name. He stopped. His eyes went to the twins first. Relief flooded his features. Then his gaze lifted to me. Recognition hit him like a physical blow. That I saw it in the way his jaw went slack, the way his hands dropped to his sides. "You," he breathed. Leo tugged on my sleeve. "You know, Daddy?" I could not speak. My throat had closed. I looked at Leo, then at Lily. I looked at the shape of their eyes, the honey color, the set of their brows, the way Leo tilted his head when he was confused. It was the same way his father tilted his head. The man took a step forward. "I am Ethan," he said. His voice was unsteady. I have looked for you." He looked at the twins. He looked back at me. "I did not know how to find you." The floor felt like it was tilting. I pressed my palms flat against the cold linoleum. I focused on the sensation, the grit, the hardness, the reality of it. "I did not know." I whispered. I gestured to Leo and Lily. "I did not know about them." Ethan knelt down. He put a hand on Leo's back and one on Lily's. "Kids," he said, "can you give Daddy and Nora a minute? I will get you some juice from the nurse's station." Leo looked at me. "Will you still be here?" he asked. I looked at Ethan. His eyes were pleading. Not for me, for them. For these two small people who had already lost so much. "I will be right here," I said. "I promise." Leo took Lily's hand. They walked slowly toward the end of the hall. A nurse appeared and guided them gently away. Ethan sat down on the bench. He put his head in his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. "Their mother died 6 months ago," he said. "Car accident. She was a good person. That we were not together anymore. But she was a good mother." I did not say anything. I let him speak. "Leo got sick 3 months ago," he continued. "We thought it was just a virus. Then the bruises started. He has leukemia. Nora, he is 4 years old." My hand flew to my mouth. "He is in remission now," Ethan said quickly. "But he has to stay here for another round of treatment." Lily refuses to leave his side. She sleeps in the hospital bed with him every night. I looked toward the end of the hall where the twins had disappeared. "Why were they alone?" I asked. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Ethan winced. "I went to get coffee. I was gone 4 minutes. The Leo's doctor stopped me in the hallway. I told them to stay in the room. But Lily wanted to find me, and Leo would not let her go alone." He looked at me then, really looked. "I have been drowning," he said. "I work from this hospital room. I sleep in a chair. I have not had a full night's sleep in 3 months. I am trying so hard, but I am failing them." The words hung in the air. I thought about the past 3 years of my life. The quiet apartment, the organized days, the nonprofit I built from nothing. I had told myself I was content. I had told myself I did not need a family. I had been lying. "Why did you look for me?" I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. Ethan rubbed his face with both hands. "Because that night meant something to me. I know we were strangers, but I felt something. And then you were gone. I went back to the hotel. I asked the front desk. They said you had checked out. I remembered leaving. I remembered the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of being seen. I was scared," I admitted. "I have always been scared." Ethan nodded slowly. "Me too," he said. "But I am more scared of doing this alone." Leo and Lily came back then. Leo was carrying a small cup of orange juice. Lily was holding a sticker a nurse had given her. They walked right up to me. Without hesitation, Leo handed me the juice. "You looked thirsty," he said. Lily peeled the sticker off its backing. It was a rainbow. She pressed it onto the back of my hand. "Now you have a rainbow," she said, "for when you are sad." I looked at that small, colorful sticker. I looked at these two children who had lost their mother, who were fighting battles no child should ever fight, who had just met me and already decided I was someone worth giving things to. I looked at Ethan. He was watching me with an expression I could not name. Hope, maybe, or fear, probably both. "I do not know how to do this," I said quietly. I do not know how to be what you need. Lily tugged on my sleeve. Just be you, she said simply. That is enough. Leo nodded. Daddy always says the best people are the ones who stay. He looked at me with those honey-colored eyes. Will you stay? I thought about my empty apartment, my organized days, my quiet life that I had built like a fortress. I thought about the walls I had constructed, that I thought about how lonely it was inside them, that I took a breath. It shook on the way out. Yes, I said. I will stay. Leo smiled. That it was the first full smile I had seen from him. It lit up his whole face. He climbed onto the bench beside his father. Lily climbed onto my lap. She fit there like she had always belonged. Ethan reached across Leo. His hand found mine. His fingers were warm. They trembled slightly. I squeezed back. It was not a fairy tale. It was a hospital hallway. It was a sick child. It was two grieving twins. It was a man who was barely holding himself together. But it was also a rainbow sticker on my hand. It was a small cup of juice meant for someone else. Offered to me. It was 4-year-old hands holding onto each other and onto me. I did not know what the future held. I did not know if Leo would stay in remission. I did not know if Ethan and I would become something real. I did not know if I was ready to be a mother. But I knew I could no longer pretend I was not already falling in love with two small children who called every woman with kind eyes mom, because theirs was gone, with a man who had spent 3 years looking for a stranger, with a life I had never planned but suddenly could not imagine living without. The nurse came back to take Leo for his treatment. He held out his hand to me. Will you come? He asked. I looked at Ethan. He nodded. I took Leo's hand. It was so small. So fragile. So fierce. Lily held my other hand. We walked down the hallway together. 4 people who had been strangers that morning. 4 people who were something else now. Something that was still learning how to be a family. The treatment room was bright and cold. Machines beeped in steady rhythms. Leo climbed onto the hospital bed without being asked. He had done this many times before. That broke my heart more than anything. Lily climbed up beside him. She pulled a worn stuffed rabbit from under the pillow and tucked it under his arm. For bravery, she whispered. I stood at the foot of the bed. I felt like an intruder. Like I was witnessing something I had not earned the right to see. Ethan came up beside me. He did not say anything. He just stood there, his shoulder almost touching mine. The nurse, a kind woman with silver hair, began preparing the food. Leo watched her with steady eyes. Miss Nora, he said, will you sing? I blinked. I am not a good singer, I said. Lily nodded earnestly. Daddy is a terrible singer too, but he does it anyway. Ethan let out a short laugh. It was surprised out of him. She is not wrong, he said. I thought for a moment. Then I started to hum. It was an old lullaby. One my mother used to sing to me. I did not remember the words, so I hummed. Leo closed his eyes. His grip on the stuffed rabbit loosened. Lily leaned her head against her brother's shoulder. Her eyes fluttered. The nurse inserted the four. Leo winced, but did not cry. He had learned not to cry. That was the part that hurt me the most. The child should never have to learn not to cry. I kept humming. My voice grew stronger. I found some of the words. I sang about the moon and the stars. I sang about being safe. I sang about love that did not leave. When I finished, the room was quiet. The machines beeped. Leo was asleep. Lily was asleep beside him. Ethan let out a long, shaky breath. They have not slept through a treatment in weeks, he said. His voice cracked. I looked at the twins. Their faces were peaceful. For this small moment, they were not fighting anything. They were just children, resting. I do not know if I can do this, I whispered. I do not know if I am strong enough. Ethan turned to face me. He was crying, silent tears running down his face. I am not strong enough either, he said. But maybe together we are. He took my hand again. This time, I did not let go. The hours passed in a blur. Leo slept. Lily slept. Ethan and I talked in low voices. We talked about that night. We talked about the years between. We talked about our fears. We talked about our hopes. We talked about the strange, terrifying, beautiful thing that was happening between us. When the twins woke, it was evening. The sun was setting outside the window. Orange and pink lights spilled across the floor. Leo looked at me. He looked at his father. He looked at the way our hands were intertwined. A slow smile spread across his face. Is Nora going to be our new mom? He asked. My heart stopped. Then it started again, pounding. Ethan looked at me. I looked at him. The question hung in the air. It was too soon. It was too much. It was also the truest thing I had ever heard. I knelt down beside the bed, so I was eye level with Leo. I do not know what I am going to be, I said honestly. But I know I am not going anywhere. I promise. Leo considered this. Then he nodded. Okay, he said. That is good enough for now. Lily reached out and touched my face. Her small hand was warm. You have a good heart, she said. I can tell. I caught her hand and kissed her palm. She giggled. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. The days that followed were not easy. I will not pretend they were. I learned the rhythm of the hospital, the beeping machines, the shift changes, the smell of disinfectant and cafeteria coffee. I learned which nurses told jokes and which ones were quiet. I learned which doctors spoke to children and which ones spoke at them. I brought more than care packages now. I brought homemade soup that Ethan pretended to like even when I burned it. I brought picture books and read until my voice went hoarse. I brought myself. Every day, even the hard days, especially the hard days. Leo had good days and bad days. On good days, we played card games on his bed. He was fiercely competitive. He got that from his father. On bad days, he was too tired to move. I would lie beside him and hum that old lullaby. Lily would curl up on his other side. Ethan would sit in the chair, watching us with an expression I was learning to recognize. It was love. It was terror. It was hope. It was all the things he could not say because he was too afraid to jinx it. I understood that I felt the same way. One night, Leo was having a particularly hard time. The treatment had left him nauseous and weak. He cried. Real tears, the kind he usually held back. Lily cried too, because she always felt what her brother felt. Ethan looked lost. He paced the room, running his hands through his hair. I do not know how to fix this, he said. His voice was raw. I went to Leo's bed. I climbed in beside him. I pulled Lily close. I wrapped my arms around both of them. You do not have to fix it, I said to Ethan. You just have to be here. He stopped pacing. He watched us for a long moment. Then he climbed onto the other side of the bed. It was not built for 4 people. But we fit anyway. We lay there, the 4 of us. Leo in the middle, Lily tucked against me. Ethan's arms stretched across them both to rest on my shoulder. Leo's crying slowed, then stopped. His breathing evened out. I feel better, he whispered. When everyone is here. I pressed a kiss to the top of his head. Me too, I said. The weeks turned into months. Leo's treatments continued. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. We celebrated small victories. A good blood count a day. Without nausea. Leo's hair started to grow back. It was soft and fine, like a baby bird's feathers. Lily started to laugh more. She no longer held her brother's hand every waking moment. Sometimes she played with the hospital's therapy dog. Sometimes she drew pictures. She drew a lot of pictures of. For people, point 1 tall, point 1 medium, point 2 small. She always put a rainbow above them. Ethan started to look less like a man drowning. He smiled more. He slept in the chair less, and in the bed with us more. He told me about his work, his dreams, his fears. He told me about that night 3 years ago. How he had woken up and I was gone. How he had searched for me. How he had wondered, for years, if I had been a dream. I told him about my fear of being seen. My fear of wanting too much. My fear of losing people I loved. I had lost people before. I had built my quiet life to ensure I never lost anyone again. And now, he asked. We were sitting in the hospital cafeteria. The coffee was terrible. The windows overlooked a small garden where someone had planted daffodils. And now I have 3 people I could lose, I said. And I am terrified every single day. He took my hand. Me too, he said. But I would rather be terrified with you than safe without you. I looked at our hands. His fingers intertwined with mine. Point 2 people who had been strangers. Point 2 people who had become something unbreakable. The day Leo was discharged was a Tuesday. The same day of the week I had first walked into that hospital with my care packages. The sky was the color of hope, pale blue with streaks of white cloud. Leo walked out of the hospital on his own 2 feet. He was thinner than he should have been. His hair was short and patchy, but he was smiling. He was holding his sister's hand. He was alive. Lily skipped beside him. She was wearing a new dress I had bought her. It was yellow, like sunshine. She had insisted Leo wear a matching shirt. He had grumbled, but he wore it. Ethan walked beside me. He carried Leo's overnight bag and Lily's stuffed rabbit, which she had insisted he hold so it could see the sky. He was crying, but he did not try to hide it. "We did it," he said. His voice broke on the last word. I stopped walking. I looked at the twins ahead of us on the sidewalk. Leo was pointing at a bird. Lily was laughing. The sunlight made their hair glow. "We did not do it," I said. "They did it. That we just held their hands." Ethan turned to face me. He set the bag and the rabbit down on a bench. He took both my hands. "Nora," he said, "I know this is fast and I know this is not how things are supposed to go. But I cannot imagine another day without you in it. That I cannot imagine Leo and Lily without you in their lives. That I cannot imagine me without you." He reached into his pocket. That my heart stopped. He pulled out a small box. That my heart started again, pounding so hard I thought I might faint. "This is not a proposal," he said quickly. "I know it is too soon for that, but it is a promise." He opened the box. Inside was a simple silver ring. It had two small stones, one blue, one green. Leo and Lily's birthstones. "I promise to be terrified with you every day," he said. "I promise to hold your hand through the hard parts. That I promise to laugh with you through the good parts. That I promise to never stop looking for you, even when I already know where you are." I stared at the ring. That I stared at the man in front of me. His face was open, vulnerable, hopeful. Behind him, I heard Leo shout, "Daddy, look at the squirrel." Ethan laughed. It was wet and messy. He did not look away from me. That I thought about the past 3 months. The hospital room, the beeping machines, the nights I lay beside a 4-year-old boy who had more courage than anyone I had ever met. The mornings I braided Lily's hair while she told me stories about her mother. The moments when Ethan fell asleep with his head on my shoulder, trusting me to keep watch. That I thought about the fortress I had built, the quiet apartment, the organized days, the life I had. Told myself was enough. That I did not need a fortress. That I needed this. These two small people who had looked at a stranger and seen a mother. This man who had searched for me for 3 years. This messy, terrifying, beautiful life. That I took the box from his hand. That I slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. "Yes," I said. "I promise to." Ethan let out a sound that was half laugh, half sobbed. He pulled me into his arms. He held me so tightly, I could feel his heart beating against my chest. That it was racing. "Daddy." Lily's voice came from behind us. "Are you hugging Nora without us?" We broke apart, laughing. Leo and Lily ran toward us. Leo wrapped his arms around my legs. Lily jumped up and down until Ethan scooped her up. "Group hug," Leo declared. He had learned the term from one of his nurses. That we stood there on the sidewalk, the 4 of us, holding each other. People walked past. Some smiled. Some looked away, giving us privacy. A car honked. A bird sang. The sun was warm on my back. Leo tilted his head up to look at me. "Nora," he said, "can we call you Mom now?" I looked at Ethan. He nodded. His eyes were full. So were mine. I knelt down so I was at Leo's level. Lily squirmed out of Ethan's arms to join her brother. I looked at both of them. These two small people who had changed everything, who had taught me that walls were not protection. They were cages. "Yes," I said. "You can call me Mom." Leo's face broke into the widest smile I had ever seen. That he threw his arms around my neck. "Mom," he said, like he was tasting the word, like it was something sweet. Lily wrapped her arms around me too. "Mom," she said, and then, softer, "I have been waiting to say that for so long." I held them both. I held them like I would never let go. And I would not. Not ever. Not through the hard times. Not through the good times. Not through whatever came next. Ethan knelt down beside us. He put his arms around all 3 of us. "My family," he said. His voice was steady now. "Strong." That we stayed like that for a long time. 4 people who had been strangers. 4 people who had become something more. 4 people who had learned that family is not about blood. It is about who stays. Leo pulled back. First that he looked at me with his honey-colored eyes. "Mom," he said again. Just because he could. I kissed his forehead. I kissed Lily's forehead. I looked at Ethan. He was watching me with an expression. I finally had a name for. It was home. We walked to the car together. Leo held my right hand. Lily held my left. Ethan walked beside Leo, his hand resting on Leo's shoulder. We moved slowly. Leo still got tired easily, but he wanted to walk. He wanted to feel the sun. He wanted to be outside, not inside, not trapped, not waiting. When we reached the car, Ethan opened the door. He helped Leo into his car seat. I helped Lily into hers. They buckled in, still holding hands across the small space between their seats. Ethan got into the driver's seat. I got into the passenger seat. He started the engine. The radio came on softly, an old love song. He looked at me. Ready? He asked. I looked in the rearview mirror. Leo was looking out the window, watching the hospital grow smaller behind us. Lily was holding her stuffed rabbit, humming softly. The rainbow sticker was still on the back of my hand. It had faded, but it was still there. I looked at the ring on my finger. The blue stone and the green stone point two small lives I had been given the privilege to love. Ready, I said. Ethan pulled out of the parking lot. We drove toward home. Wherever that was now. It did not matter. Home was not a place. Home was the small hand holding mine. Home was the other small hand holding her brother's. Home was the man beside me, reaching over to rest his hand on my knee. Home was the four of us, together. The moral of this story is that love is not something you plan. It is something you recognize when it arrives. Sometimes it arrives in the most unexpected places. A hospital hallway. A rainy Tuesday. Two small children who need someone to stay. Love is not about being strong enough on your own. It is about being brave enough to let someone hold you up when you are weak. And it is about being there to hold them up in return. Family is not built in a day. It is built in the small moments. A lullaby hummed. A hand held. A rainbow sticker pressed onto the back of a hand. It is built in the decision to stay. Even when staying is hard. Especially when staying is hard. And sometimes, the people who save you are the ones you thought you were saving. The car hummed beneath us. A steady rhythm that matched the beating of my heart. I watched the hospital disappear in the side mirror at a building that had held so much fear. So much. Waiting. So much hoped. It shrank to a speck of white and glass. Then it was gone. Lily sighed from the back seat. A deep, contented sound. Mom, she said again, softly, like she was testing the word in the quiet. I turned in my seat to look at her. She was not looking at me. She was looking out the window, watching the trees blur past, but her lips were curved into a small smile. The stuffed rabbit was pressed against her cheek. Yes, sweetheart? I said. She turned her eyes to mine. Does this mean you will be there when we wake up? The question landed in my chest like a stone in still water, ripples spreading outward. I thought about all the mornings she had woken up in a hospital bed, her brother beside her, her father in a chair, a rotating cast of nurses, strangers coming and going to N01 constant, N01 who was guaranteed to be there when she opened her eyes. Yes, I said. My voice was firm. I will be there when you wake up. She nodded once, satisfied. She turned back to the window. Leo had been quiet. That was unusual for him. I glanced in the mirror. He was watching me. His eyes were tired, but alert. There was something serious in his face, something too old for a 4-year-old. Leo? I said, what are you thinking about? He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, do you have a house? Ethan's hand tightened on my knee. I looked at him. His eyes were on the road, but I could see the tension in his jaw. I have an apartment, I said. It is small, but it is mine. Leo considered this. Is it a nice apartment? It is very nice, I said. There is a big window in the living room, and a fire escape where I used to sit and watch the stars. Lily turned back around. Used to? She asked. You do not watch the stars anymore? I thought about the past 3 years, the nights I had sat alone on that fire escape, counting stars like I was counting the days of my life, marking time, waiting for something I did not have a name for. I have not watched them in a while, I admitted. I think I was waiting for someone to watch them with. Leo's face broke into a grin. We can watch them with you, he said. I am very good at spotting constellations. Daddy taught me. There is the Big Dipper, and Orion, and a bear. I forget the bear's name. Ursa Major, Ethan said. His voice was thick. Yes, Leo said. Ursa Major. That is a very good bear. Lily giggled. It is not a real bear. Leo. It is stars. Stars can be bears, Leo said firmly. Anything can be anything if you believe hard enough. I looked at Ethan. He was smiling now. A real smile. One that reached his eyes. He gets that from his mother, Ethan said quietly. She used to say the same thing. The words settled over us. Not heavy, not sad, just present. A truth that existed alongside all the other truths we were building. I reached back and put my hand on Leo's knee. I believe stars can be bears, I said, and I believe you are very good at finding them. Leo puffed up with pride. Lily rolled her eyes in that way only a 4-year-old girl can roll her eyes. Affectionate and exasperated all at once, we drove for another 20 minutes. Ethan navigated the streets with the ease of someone who had driven them 1,000 times. That I watched the neighborhoods change, the city giving way to tree-lined streets, the buildings spreading out. More space. More green. That he pulled into a driveway. The house was small. A craftsman-style bungalow with a porch that wrapped around the front. The paint was peeling in places, the garden was overgrown. But there was a swing hanging from the porch ceiling, and a child's bicycle lying on its side in the grass. This is it. Ethan said that he killed the engine. That I looked at the house. That I looked at the overgrown garden. That I looked at the bicycle with its pink streamers tangled in the spokes. It needs work. Ethan said that he was watching me, waiting for my reaction. I have not been able to keep up, not with everything that happened. I thought about my apartment, the spotless counters, the perfectly arranged bookshelves, the quiet. Always the quiet. It is perfect, I said. Leo was already unbuckling his seatbelt. Can I show her my room? He asked. Can I, please? Ethan laughed. Yes, you can show her your room. Leo was out of the car before Ethan finished the sentence. Lily followed at a more dignified pace. She had the rabbit tucked under her arm. She walked with the careful grace of a child who had learned to navigate hospital floors, who knew where every crack and uneven tile was. Ethan came around to open my door. He held out his hand and I took it. The ring caught the sunlight. Blue and green. Two small stones. Two small lives. Are you okay? He asked. His voice was low. For me alone. That I looked at the house. At Leo, jumping up and down on the porch. To at Lily, patiently waiting for us to catch up. At the overgrown garden that could be beautiful with some work. At the swing that swayed gently in the breeze. I am more than okay, I said. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. He squeezed my hand. That we walked to the porch together. Leo grabbed my free hand and pulled me through the front door. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and something else, something warm, something like cinnamon. There was a half-empty coffee cup on the entry table. A pile of mail that had not been opened. A jacket draped over the banister. It was messy. It was lived in. It was real. This way, Leo said. He tugged me down a hallway. The walls were covered in photographs, baby pictures, first steps, birthday, parties with too much cake. A woman with honey-colored eyes, laughing, the same eyes Leo had. The same smile Lily had. I paused in front of one photograph. The woman was holding both twins. They were infants. She was looking at them like they were the entire universe. Her hair was the color of autumn leaves. Her smile was wide and unguarded. That is Mommy, Lily said. She had come up beside me without me noticing. Before she went to heaven, I knelt down so I was at her height. She was beautiful, I said. Lily nodded. She was, she said. Then she looked at me. You are beautiful too, different, but beautiful. I felt tears prick my eyes. That I blinked them back. Thank you, Lily. Leo tugged my sleeve again. Come on. My room is at the end. His room was an explosion of color. Blue walls covered in glow-in-the-dark stars, the bed with a rocket ship comforter. Toys scattered across the floor. A half-finished puzzle on a small table. A collection of smooth stones lined up on the windowsill. I collected those, Leo said, pointing to the stones. Daddy took me to the river last summer, before I got sick. I picked up one of the stones. It was gray and smooth, perfect for skipping. They are beautiful, I said. Leo climbed onto his bed. That he looked small against the rocket ship comforter, but he was smiling. I am glad to be home, he said. Those words, simple. 4 syllables, but they held so much. Months of hospital beds, months of beeping machines, months of being away from this room, this bed, these stones on the windowsill. I sat on the edge of his bed. I am glad you are home too, I said. Lily came in and climbed up beside him. She did not say anything. She just leaned against his shoulder, the rabbit wedged between them. Ethan appeared in the doorway. He leaned against the frame, arms crossed, watching us. His eyes were wet again, but he was smiling. What do you want for dinner? He asked. I am warning you now. My cooking skills are limited to pasta and scrambled eggs. Leo perked up. Pasta, he said, with the red sauce. Lily nodded. And the cheese that snows. I laughed. The cheese that snows? Parmesan, Ethan said. Lily calls it snow cheese. She has been calling it that since she could talk. Lily looked at me. Do you like snow cheese? I love snow cheese, I said. And I am very good at making red sauce. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Is that so? I have a recipe, I said. It takes 3 hours, but it is worth it. Leo's eyes went wide. 3 hours? That is a very long time. Good things take time. I said that. I looked at Ethan when I said it. He understood. We made dinner together. The kitchen was small. The counters were cluttered, but there was room for all of us. Ethan boiled the pasta that I made the sauce from scratch. Leo sat on a stool at the counter, directing operations. Lily sat on the floor with the rabbit, telling it about her day. The sauce simmered. The smell filled the house. Tomatoes and garlic and basil. It chased away the lemon cleaner, and the cinnamon it made the house smell like something new, something ours. Leo fell asleep at the counter. His head dropped onto his folded arms. His breathing became slow and even. Lily noticed first. She crept over and put a blanket around his shoulders. She had gotten the blanket from the living room without any of us noticing. He gets tired, she said. Her voice was matter of fact. The doctors say it is normal. His body is making new blood. That takes a lot of energy. I looked at this small girl, 4 years old, explaining chemotherapy recovery like it was a fact of life, like she had always known it that in a way. She had. Ethan came to stand beside me. He put his arm around my waist. She has been his nurse since the beginning, he said quietly. She reminds him to take his medicine. She knows his schedule better than I do. She holds his hand when he is scared. I watched Lily adjust the blanket around her brother. She smoothed it over his shoulders with the gentle hands of someone who had done this 100 times. She should not have to. I said, my voice cracked. I know, Ethan said. That is why I am so grateful you are here. She needs someone to take care of her too. That I have been so focused on Leo. I did not see how much she was carrying. Lily looked up at us. I am okay, she said. Leo is the one who is sick. I am just the one who loves him. I knelt down beside her. I took her small hands in mine. Lily, I said, you are allowed to be tired too. You are allowed to be scared. You are allowed to need someone. She looked at me for a long moment. Her honey-colored eyes searched my face. Then her lower lip trembled, just slightly, just for a second. Sometimes, she whispered, sometimes I am very tired. And sometimes I am very scared. But I have to be brave for Leo. Because if he sees me scared, he gets scared too. And he needs to be brave to get better. I pulled her into my arms. She came willingly. Her small body pressed against mine. The rabbit got squished between us. She did not complain. You do not have to be brave alone anymore, I said into her hair. I am here now. And I can be brave for both of you when you need to rest. She did not cry, but I felt her arms tighten around my neck. That I felt her hold on, like I was something solid, something she could anchor to. Ethan crouched down beside us. He put his hand on Lily's back. We are a team now, he said. All four of us, we carry things together. Lily pulled back. She looked at her father. She looked at me. She looked at Leo, still asleep at the counter. Together, she repeated. She said it like she was trying it on, like a dress that might fit. Together, I confirmed that we ate dinner late. Leo woke up long enough to eat a small bowl of pasta. He managed half of it before his eyes started drooping again. Lily ate 2 bowls. She told us about the therapy dog at the hospital, about a nurse named Margaret who always had lollipops, about a boy in the room next to Leo's who could burp the alphabet. She made us laugh until our sides hurt. Ethan told stories about the twins when they were babies, how Leo had been determined to crawl before he could sit up, how Lily had refused to sleep unless she was holding someone's hand, how they had learned to talk at the same time. Their first word was more. Their second word was no. I told stories about my work, the families I had met through the nonprofit, a single father with 3 kids who had lost everything in a fire, a grandmother raising her grandson while battling cancer herself, people who had nothing, who gave everything. That is why you do it. Lily said that it was not a question. Yes, I said. That is why I do it. You have a good heart, Lily said. She had said it before in the hospital. On the day we met. You said that already, I said, smiling. I know, she said. But I wanted to say it again in case you forgot. Leo was asleep in Ethan's arms now. His head was on his father's shoulder. His mouth was slightly open. He looked peaceful, young, the way a 4-year-old should look. Ethan looked at me. It is late, he said. You should stay. It was not a question. But it was not a demand either. It was an offer, point one I could accept or refuse. No pressured, no expectation. That I looked at the clock on the wall. It was past 11. My apartment was 40 minutes away. That I thought about driving home to that quiet space. The empty rooms, the cold sheets. Okay, I said. I will stay. Lily grabbed my hand. You can sleep in my room, she said. I have a big bed. Well, it is not big, but it is big enough for two if we squish. I looked at Ethan. He shrugged. She has been asking for a sleepover for weeks, he said. I think she was saving it for someone special. Lily tugged me toward her room. That I followed. My heart was so full I thought it might burst. Her room was pink, not a soft pink. A bright, cheerful pink that seemed to glow even in the dim light. There were drawings taped to every wall, flowers and rainbows and families. Point four people. Always four people. A rainbow above them. There was a small bed with a white canopy, stuffed animals lined up on the pillow, each one with a name. She introduced me to them one by one. Mr. Whiskers, Flopsy, Sir Hopsalot, and of course, the rabbit from the hospital. His name was Barnaby. Barnaby is the most important, she explained. He went through all the treatments with Leo. That he is very brave. I sat on the edge of her bed. He sounds very brave, I said. Lily climbed up beside me. She arranged Barnaby on the pillow next to her. Then she looked at me. Mom, she said, are you going to live with us now? The question hung in the air. I thought about my apartment, the lease, the furniture, the life I had built there. I have to figure some things out, I said honestly. But I am not going anywhere. I promise. She studied my face. Then she nodded. Okay, she said. That is a good promise. She lay down. I lay down beside her. The bed was small. We squished, just like she said. She reached for my hand. I gave it to her. She held it against her chest, right over her heart. Your hands are warm, she whispered. So are yours, I whispered back. She closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Within minutes, she was asleep. Her hand was still holding mine. Barnaby was tucked under her chin. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe, listening to the house settle around us. Somewhere down the hall, I heard Ethan moving, the soft creak of floorboards, the low murmur of his voice as he talked to Leo, though Leo was surely asleep. At a door closing. Then silenced. I thought about the journey that had brought me here, the hospital hallway, the two small children on a bench, the man who had searched for me for 3 years, the rainbow sticker still faint on my hand, the ring on my finger. I thought about the fortress I had built, the quiet apartment, the organized days, the life I had constructed to protect myself from pain. It had protected me from joy too. I had not known that until now. I closed my eyes. For the first time in years, I was not alone. For the first time in years, I was not afraid of what the morning would bring. For the first time in years, I let myself hope. I did not sleep right away. I lay there, feeling Lily's heartbeat through her small hand. I listened to the night sounds. An owl in the distance. A car passing on the street below. The gentle creak of the house settling. And then, another sound. Soft footsteps in the hallway. The door to Lily's room opening a crack. I turned my head. Ethan was standing in the doorway. He was silhouetted against the light from the hallway. He did not say anything. He just stood there, watching. I lifted my free hand. I motioned for him to come in. He hesitated. Then he walked into the room. He moved quietly. Carefully, he sat on the edge of Lily's bed. The mattress dipped under his weight. Lily stirred but did not wake. He looked down at his daughter. Her hand wrapped around mine. Barnaby tucked under her chin. His expression was soft, vulnerable. She has not slept this peacefully in months, he whispered. Neither has Leo. I looked at him, the lines on his face, the circles under his eyes, the weight he had been carrying alone for so long. Neither have you, I whispered back. He let out a breath. A long, slow exhale, like he had been holding it for years. No, he said, neither have I. He reached across Lily. His hand found mine. Our fingers intertwined over their daughter's sleeping form. The ring pressed between our palms. Stay. He said. It was not the same question as before. It was not about tonight. It was about everything. I looked at him. I looked at Lily. I thought about Leo in his room down the hall. His rocket ship comforter. His collection of stones. His fierce, brave heart. I will stay, I said, for as long as you want me. Ethan's hand tightened on mine. Forever, he said. I want you forever. The words settled over us forever. It was a long time. It was a terrifying word. It was also the most beautiful word I had ever heard. Lily stirred again. Her eyes fluttered open for just a moment. She saw me beside her. She saw her father leaning over her. She smiled a sleepy, contented smile. Together, she murmured. Then her eyes closed again. Her breathing evened out. Ethan and I looked at each other across the small space of our daughter's bed that we did not need to say anything else. The word had already been spoken. Forever. Together, he leaned down and kissed Lily's forehead. Then he leaned across her and kissed mine. A gentle brush of lips that a promise sealed. He did not leave. He lay down on the other side of Lily. The three of us on a bed meant for one small girl. We squished, we fit. Lily's hand was still wrapped around mine. Ethan's hand was wrapped around hers. A chain of hands. A circle of hearts. I closed my eyes. The darkness was not empty anymore. It was full. Full of love. Full of hope. Full of the quiet, steady breathing of the people I loved. I did not know what tomorrow would bring. There would be doctor's appointments. There would be hard days. There would be moments of fear and doubt. There would be a house to fix and a garden to tend. There would be a life to build from the ground up. But there would also be mornings. Mornings with Leo's laughter. Mornings with Lily's stories. Mornings with Ethan's hand in mine. Mornings where I woke up and knew, without a doubt, that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I thought about the woman in the photograph. The woman with honey-colored eyes. Leo and Lily's first mother. I hoped she was watching. I hoped she knew that her children were loved. That they would always be loved, that I would spend the rest of my life making sure they knew how loved they were. I made a promise to her. There in the dark. A silent promise. I will take care of them. I will hold them when they cry. I will laugh with them when they are happy. I will be there for every milestone, every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every nightmare chased away with a lullaby. I will not replace you. No one could ever replace you. But I will love them. I will love them with everything I have, for as long as I live. The house was quiet, the night was deep, and for the first time in my life, I was not waiting for something. I was not counting stars. I was not marking time. I was home. I drifted off to sleep with Lily's heartbeat against my palm, with Ethan's warmth on the other side of her, with Leo's steady breathing drifting down the hallway, with the ring on my finger catching the moonlight that slipped through the curtains. And in my dreams, there was a garden, an overgrown garden that we would tend together. There were 4 chairs on a porch. There was a swing that swayed in the breeze. There were stars that became bears. And there was a rainbow, always a rainbow, stretched across the sky like a promise, like a beginning. When I woke, the light was different, soft and gray, the kind of light that comes before sunrise. Lily was still asleep beside me. Her hand had loosened its grip on mine, but she had not let go. Barnaby had migrated to her other side, pressed against her cheek. Ethan was gone. The space where he had been was cool. I sat up slowly, careful not to wake Lily. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I slipped out of bed. My feet touched the cold floor. I padded down the hallway. Leo's door was open. His bed was empty. The rocket ship comforter was rumpled. The glow in the dark. Stars were fading with the approaching dawn. My heart gave a small lurch. But then I heard it. Voices, soft, coming from the kitchen. I walked toward the sound. The hallway was lined with photographs. I paused again at the one of the twins' first mothered, in the gray morning light. Her smile looked different, wistful, but peaceful too. Like she was letting go of something she had been holding for a long time. I touched the frame gently. I will take care of them, I whispered again. I promise. I continued to the kitchen. The door was half open. I could see the glow of a single light. I could hear Leo's voice, thin but clear. Do you think she will stay, Daddy? For real? Not just for a sleepover? I stopped. I knew I should not eavesdrop, but my feet would not move. My heart would not let me. Ethan's voice was low, warm. I think she will stay, buddy. I think she wants to stay. But what if she changes her mind? Leo's voice cracked on the last word. Mommy did not mean to leave, but she left anyway. What if Nora leaves too? The pain in his voice, the fear. It was a mirror of my own fears, the ones I had carried for so long. The ones I had thought I had left behind in my quiet apartment. I heard a chair scrape, footsteps. Then Ethan's voice, closer now. Leo, look at me. A pause. Mommy did not choose to leave. She loved you so much. She loves you still. She is watching you right now. I know she is. And she is so proud of you, so proud of how brave you have been. But she is not here, Leo whispered. And I want her here, I want her to see me get better, I want her to see my hair grow back, that I want her to tuck me in. I pressed my hand against my mouth. Tears were running down my face that I could not stop them. I know, Ethan said. His voice was thick too. I know, buddy, that I want those things too, every day, but mommy cannot come back. And I know that is not fair, that it is the least fair thing in the whole world. Then why did it happen? Leo asked. His voice was small, smaller than I had ever heard it. I do not know, Ethan said. I wish I had an answer. I have been looking for one for 6 months that I have not found it. But here is what I do know. A pause, a rustle of clothing. Ethan was kneeling, that I could picture it. Eye to eye with his son. I know that mommy loved you more than anything, that I know that she would want you to be happy, that I know that she would want you to have someone who loves you. And Nora loves you. Leo, that I can see it. She loves you, and Lily so much. How do you know? Leo asked. Because she stayed, Ethan said simply. When you asked her to stay in the hospital, she stayed. When you asked her to come home with us, she came. When Lily asked her to sleep in her bed, she did. She is still here, Leo. She did not run. She did not leave. She stayed. I heard Leo sniffle. But what if she leaves tomorrow? Then we will be sad, Ethan said. And we will miss her. And we will remember the time we had with her. But I do not think she is going to leave. Leo, did I think she is going to stay? For a long time. Maybe forever. Forever is a long time, Leo said. It is, Ethan agreed. But I think she is up for it, that I think we all are. There was a long silence, that I stood in the hallway, my hand pressed against my mouth. The tears were still falling, but I was smiling too. Daddy? Leo said, Yeah, buddy. I am glad you found her. I am glad you did not stop looking. Ethan let out a sound. Half laugh, half sob. Me too. Buddy. Me too. I wiped my face, that I took a breath, that I pushed open the kitchen door. They were on the floor. Ethan on his knees, Leo sitting cross-legged in front of him. Leo was wrapped in a blanket. His rocket ship pajamas were too big on him now. His hair was patchy. His face was pale, but he was smiling. A small, fragile smile. The kind of smile that could grow into something bigger. That I stood in the doorway. They both looked up at me. Leo's eyes widened. Were you listening? He asked. That I walked into the kitchen. I knelt down beside them. That I did not care that my pajamas were getting wrinkled. That I did not care that my face was wet. That I did not care about anything except the two people in front of me. I was listening, I said. And I want to answer your question, the one you asked your father. Leo's eyes went even wider. You heard that? I heard it, I said. And I want you to know something. Leo, I am not going to leave. I am not your mother. I will never try to be your mother. But I am someone who loves you. And I am someone who stays. Leo's lower lip trembled. Promise, he whispered. I held out my hand. The ring caught the early morning light. Blue and green, point two small stones, point two small lives. I promise, I said. With all my heart. Leo looked at my hand. He looked at the ring. Then he launched himself at me. His thin arms wrapped around my neck. His face pressed into my shoulder. He was so small. So light. So fierce that I held him like I would never let go. And I would not. Not ever. Ethan put his arms around both of us. His chin rested on top of my head. That I felt his heart beating against my back, strong, steady. Together, he said. That I felt Leo nod against my shoulder. I heard Lily's voice from the doorway. Did you start without me? We looked up. Lily was standing in the kitchen doorway. Her hair was a mess. Barnaby was tucked under her arm. She had one sock on and one sock off. She looked sleepy and disgruntled and absolutely adorable. Come here, I said. That I opened my arm. She did not need to be told twice. She ran across the kitchen and launched herself into the pile. Barnaby went flying. He landed on the counter with a soft thump. No one cared that we sat there on the kitchen floor, the four of us, tangled together. The morning light was growing stronger. It spilled through the windows and painted everything gold. The counters, the floor, our faces. Leo pulled back first. He looked at me. His honey-colored eyes were serious. Mom, he said. Just like that. Like he had been saying it his whole life. I smiled. Yes, Leo? Can we have pancakes for breakfast? I laughed. The sound surprised me. That it was bright and loud and real. Pancakes, I said. Absolutely. Lily raised her hand. With chocolate chips. Of course with chocolate chips, I said. Ethan groaned. Chocolate chips for breakfast? What kind of mother are you? I looked at him, that he was smiling. The smile reached his eyes, that it reached his whole face. He looked lighter than he had in months. Maybe years. The best kind, I said. I am going to be the best kind. Lily cheered. Leo pumped his fist. Ethan leaned over and kissed me. Right there on the kitchen floor, with our children watching. With the morning light turning everything to gold, it was not a perfect moment. The kitchen was messy. The floor was cold. We were all wearing wrinkled pajamas. Leo's hair was patchy. Lily only had one sock. Barnaby was lying on his side on the counter, looking undignified. But it was our moment, the first of many, the beginning of everything. I made the pancakes. Leo sat on the counter and poured the chocolate chips into the batter, one by one, counting each one. He got to 47 before he lost count and just dumped the rest in. Lily set the table. She put a napkin at each place. She folded them into triangles because she said triangles were happier than squares. She put a glass of water at my spot. Then she moved it to Ethan's spot. Then she moved it back to mine. Then she left it there. Ethan made coffee. He made enough for two. He made it the way I liked it. He had only seen me drink coffee once, but he had been paying attention. We sat down together, the four of us, around a small table in a small kitchen. The pancakes were lopsided. Some were burned. Some were undercooked. Some had too many chocolate chips. Some did not have enough. They were the best pancakes I had ever eaten. Leo ate 2. Lily ate 3. Ethan ate 4. I ate 1. I was too busy watching them to eat more. After breakfast, Leo got tired. It happened fast. 1 minute, he was laughing about a chocolate chip mustache Lily had made. The next minute, his eyes were drooping. His head was nodding. Ethan picked him up without a word. He carried him to the living room. He laid him on the couch. Lily followed with a blanket. She tucked it around him with the same gentle hands I had seen before. She kissed his forehead. I will be right here, she whispered. I am not going anywhere. She climbed onto the other end of the couch. She pulled her knees up to her chest. She watched her brother sleep. Barnaby was tucked between them. I stood in the doorway. Ethan came up behind me, his arms wrapped around my waist. His chin rested on my shoulder. They are amazing, I said. My voice was quiet. I would not wake Leo. They are, Ethan said. And so are you. I leaned back against him. I watched our children. Leo's chest rose and fell. Lily's eyes were getting heavy too. The morning sun was warm on their faces. What happens now? I asked. After today, after the pancakes and the naps, what happens? Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, we live. We take Leo to his appointments. We plant a garden in the backyard. We fix the porch swing. We watch the stars. We make mistakes. We forgive each other. We learn how to be a family. That is a lot, I said. It is, he agreed. But we have time. We have forever. I turned in his arms. I looked at his face. The lines were still there, the circles under his eyes. But there was something new too. Something that had not been there before. Hope. Real hope. The kind that did not come from pretending things were okay. The kind that came from knowing they would be. Eventually. With work. With love. With time. Forever, I said. That is a long time. He smiled. It is not long enough. I kissed him. Right there in the doorway. With the morning light around us. With our children sleeping on the couch. With the sound of birds outside the window. With the smell of pancakes still in the air. It was not a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. Lily stirred on the couch. Are you two kissing again? She mumbled. Her eyes were still closed. Ethan and I broke apart, laughing. Go back to sleep, Ethan said. No, Lily said. But she was already asleep again. Her hand was on Barnaby. Her other hand was on Leo's blanket. She was holding on to both of them. Even in sleep. I looked at Ethan. I need to go to my apartment, I said. I need to pack some things. In the lease, say goodbye. He nodded. Do you want me to come with you? I thought about my apartment. The quiet, the emptiness, the life I had built to protect myself. It was not mine anymore. I did not need it. No, I said. I need to do this alone. But I will come back. I will always come back. He kissed my forehead. I know, he said. I will be here. We will all be here. I got dressed in the clothes I had worn the day before. They smelled like the hospital. Antiseptic and fear, but also like something else, something new. Like hope. I stood in the doorway for a moment. I looked at the living room. Ethan was sitting in the armchair, watching Leo sleep. Lily was curled up on the couch, her hand still on the blanket. Barnaby was tucked under her chin. The house was still messy. There was still work to be done. There was still fear. There was still uncertainty. But there was also this moment, this family. This beginning. I stepped outside. The morning was cool. The sky was clear. The overgrown garden was waiting. The porch swing was waiting. The future was waiting. I got in my car. I started the engine. I drove toward my old life. But I was not sad. I was not scared. I was ready. I drove through streets I had driven 1,000 times. They looked different now, brighter, more alive. Like someone had turned up the saturation on the world. I thought about the woman in the photograph. The one with honey-colored eyes. I thought about the promise I had made to her in the dark. I thought about the promise I had made to Leo on the kitchen floor. I thought about the ring on my finger. Blue and green. Two small stones. Two small lives. I pulled into the parking lot of my apartment building. The building looked smaller than I remembered. The bricks were the same shade of gray as the morning sky. The windows were dark, empty, waiting. I sat in the car for a long moment. My hands were on the steering wheel. The ring caught the light blue and green, two small stones that meant everything. I thought about the apartment upstairs, the perfect counters, the arranged bookshelves, the silence that I had called peace. I had built that silence like a fortress, stone by stone, year by year. I told myself I was protecting my heart. I told myself I was safe, but safety is not the same as living. Walls are not the same as love. Silence is not the same as peace. I got out of the car. My feet carried me up the stairs. Each step was heavier than the last, not because I was sad, because I was leaving something behind, something I had carried for too long. The key turned in the lock. The door opened. The apartment was exactly as I had left it, neat, orderly, quiet. I walked through each room. My fingers touched the surfaces, the cool countertops, the smooth bookshelves, the window where I had watched so many stars alone. I opened the window. The morning air rushed in. It carried the sound of birds, the distant hum of the city, the smell of damp earth and new beginnings. I stood at that window for a long time. I looked out at the sky. It was the same sky I had watched for 3 years, but it looked different now. The stars were gone. The sun was rising. The world was waking. I thought about Leo, his fierce little heart, his collection of stones, his belief that stars could be bears. I thought about Lily, her gentle hands, her brave spirit, her quiet strength that carried her brother through the darkest nights. I thought about Ethan, his patience, his determination, the way he had searched for me for 3 years without knowing my name. Thought about the woman in the photograph, the first mother, the one who had loved them first, the one who had taught them to believe that anything could be anything. I closed my eyes. I let the morning light wash over me. Let go of the fear I had been holding for so long, the fear of being seen, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of loving and losing. Fear had been my companion for years. It had kept me small, it had kept me safe. It had also kept me alone. I opened my eyes. I looked around the apartment one last time. It was not a bad place. It had been a good place, a necessary place. It had held me when I needed to be held. It had given me space to heal, to grow, to become someone ready for more, but I did not need it anymore. I packed a single bag: clothes, books, the photographs I had taken over the years, a small box of things that mattered. I left everything else, the furniture, the perfectly arranged shelves, the life I had built in isolation. I did not need to sell it or donate it or make any decisions. Those things would wait. They were just things. They were not my life anymore. My life was in a small house with peeling paint. My life was in an overgrown garden waiting to be tended. My life was in a porch swing that needed fixing. My life was in 2 small children who needed someone to stay. I locked the door behind. May did not look back. It did not need to. Everything I needed was ahead of meth. Drive back felt different. The streets were the same, but I was not the same. I had left something behind, and I was carrying something new: hope. Not the fragile kind, not the kind that breaks at the first sign of trouble, the kind that grows, the kind that roots itself deep and refuses to let go. I pulled into the driveway. The house was waiting. The paint was still peeling. The garden was still overgrown, but there was light in the windows now. I saw Lily's face appear at the front window. Her eyes went wide. She disappeared. I heard her feet pounding through the house. The front door flew open. She ran out onto the porch. She was wearing one sock again. Her hair was wild. Barnaby was tucked under her arm. "You came back," she said. Her voice was breathless, like she had been holding her breath since I left. "I promised I would," I said. She ran down the steps. She threw her arms around my legs. Barnaby fell to the ground. Neither of us cared. Leo appeared in the door within, was behind him. Leo's face broke into a smile, the kind of smile that lights up a whole house. He walked down the steps slowly. He was still tired, still healing, but he walked on his own 2 feet. He walked toward me, knelt down. I opened my arms. Both children fell into them. You are back. Leo said. His voice was muffled against my shoulder. I am back, I said. And I am not going anywhere. Ethan walked down the steps. He stood. Over us, his shadow fell across us, warm, protective, real. I looked up at him. He was smiling. His eyes were wet. He was not hiding it anymore. Welcome home. He said. The words settled into my chest. They rooted themselves there, deep, true, unshakable. Home. Not a place, not a building, not an address. Home was the small arms around my neck. Home was the weight of Lily leaning against my side. Home was the sound of Leo's laughter. Home was Ethan's hand reaching down to help me stand. I took his hand. He stood up. The children did not let go. Walked up the steps together, the four of us, a tangle of arms and hands and hearts. The day unfolded like a slow song. We worked in the garden. Leo sat on a blanket and directed operations. His voice was thin but strong. More water there. That weed is very big. Lily, you are doing it wrong. Lily was not doing it wrong. She was doing it her way. She planted marigolds in a crooked line. She said they looked happier that way. I agreed. Thin agreed. Leo agreed. After some consideration, we pulled weeds until our hands were dirty. We planted seeds that would become flowers. We made plans for vegetables, tomatoes for sauce, basil for the kitchen, strawberries for Leo, who said they were his favorite. We fixed the porch swing together. Ethan held the pieces in place. I tightened the screws. Lily handed us tools. She did not know the names of Leo. Provided commentary. When it was finished, we all sat on it, the four of us. The swing creaked under our weight, but it held. We sat there. As the afternoon turned to evening, the sky changed from blue to pink to orange. The stars began to appear one by one, pinpricks of light in the darkening sky. Leo pointed. There is the Big Dipper. His voice was proudly pointed. There is the bear. She did not remember the name, but she pointed to the right stars anyway. Ethan put his arm around May, leaned into him. The children leaned into us. A chain of leaning. A family of leaning. Thank you. Ethan said. His voice was low. For me alone. For what? I asked. For staying, for seeing them, for seeing me, for not running. I thought about the woman I had been, the one who built walls, the one who counted stars alone, the one who was too scared to let anyone in. She had been brave too in her own way. She had survived. She had healed. She had waited for this. Thank you for looking for me. I said. For 3 years, you never stopped looking. He smiled. I knew you were out there. I did not know your name, but I knew you existed, and I knew you were worth finding. Leo's voice cut through the quiet. Are you going to marry Daddy? The question hung in the air. Lily sat up. Yes, she said. Are you? I looked at Ethan. He was smiling. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out the small box, the one he had shown me at the hospital. He opened it. The ring was still there, the simple silver band, the blue and green stones. I said this was not a proposal. He said, but I was lying. I was just scared. He took the ring out of the box. He held it between his fingers. The stones caught the starlight. Nora, I do not have a grand speech. I am tired. I am scared. I am still figuring out how to be the father they need, but I know I want to figure it out with you every day for the rest of my life. He paused. His voice caught. Will you marry me? Leo gasped. Lily clutched Barnaby. The swing creaked in the silence. I looked at the man in front of me. His face was open, vulnerable, full of hope. I looked at the children beside me. Leo's eyes were wide. Lily's hand was over her mouth. I looked at the ring. The ring I was already wearing. The promise I had already made. I already said yes. I said, I already promised. I already stayed. Ethan's face broke into a grin. Is that a yes? It is a yes, I said. It has always been a yes. Leo cheered. Lily threw her arms around both of us. Barnaby went flying again. He landed in the grass. No one cared. Ethan slid the ring onto my finger beside the one I was already wearing. 2 rings now. The one he gave me and the one I gave myself. The promise to stay, the promise to love. We sat on the swing as the stars grew brighter. Leo named the constellations. Lily made up names for the ones Leo did not know. There was the bunny star. There was the blanket star. There was the star that looks like a pancake. We laughed. We leaned. We held each other. The weeks that followed were not easy. There were hard days. Leo had treatments that left him tired and sad. Lily had nightmares that woke her in the night. Ethan had moments when the weight of everything pressed down on him. I had moments when I wondered if I was enough, but we faced them together, the four of us. A family learning how to be a family. Leo's hair grew back slowly at first, then faster. It came in the color of honey, just like his eyes, just like his first mother. Lily started to laugh more. She laughed at everything, at Leo's jokes, at her father's terrible singing, at the way I burned toast. Almost every morning she started to let go of her brother's hand, not because she loved him less, because she trusted that he would be okay, that they both would be okay. Ethan started to sleep through the night. The circles under his eyes faded. He smiled more. He laughed more. He stopped looking over his shoulder for the next bad thing, and two stopped being afraid. I stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. I stopped counting stars alone. I started living really. Living with all the mess and noise and chaos that comes with it. We planted the garden tomatoes and basil and strawberries. The tomatoes grew, the basil flourished, the strawberries were eaten by birds. Leo declared the birds were welcome to them. We fixed the house room by room. We painted Leo's room blue again. We painted Lily's room pink again. We painted the kitchen yellow, the color of sunshine, the color of hope. We added a fourth chair to the table, a fourth plate to the cupboard, a fourth toothbrush to the bathroom. Small things, but they meant everything. We made traditions: pancakes on Saturday, movie night on Sunday, stargazing on clear nights, rainy days spent reading on the couch, the four of us tangled together. The wedding was small in the backyard under the same sky, where we had watched so many stars. The garden was in full bloom. The tomatoes were ripe. The basil was fragrant. The strawberries were still being eaten by birds. Leo walked me down the aisle. He took it very seriously. He held my hand and counted each step. He whispered the numbers under his breath. Lily was the flower girl. She threw petals with abandon. She threw them at people. She threw them at the sky. She threw them until her basket was empty. Then she threw the basket to Ethan, waited at the end of the path. He was wearing a clean shirt. His hair was combed. He was crying before I even reached him. I was crying too. Leo was crying. Lily was crying and laughing at the same time. The guests were crying. The officiant was crying. It was a beautiful mess. It was us. We said our vows. I promised to stay. He promised to always look for me. We promised to face the hard days together, to laugh through the good days, to build a life that honored the one who came before. Leo handed me a small box. Inside was a necklace, a silver chain with two charms, a blue stone and a green stone matching the ring on my finger. We got it for you, he said. His voice was proud. Lily picked the chain. I picked the stones. I knelt down. I let them put it around my neck. The stones rested against my heart. Two small lives, two small hearts, mine now forever. Lily whispered in my ear, now you carry us with you always. I stood up. I looked at Ethan. He was smiling. He was crying. He was everything. We kissed. The children cheered. The guests applauded. The birds ate more strawberries. It was not a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. Years passed. The house was fixed. The garden was tended. The porch swing held us through countless evenings. Leo grew strong. His hair was thick and honey-colored. He played baseball. He collected stones from every river he visited. He never stopped believing that stars could be bears. Lily grew fierce. She painted rainbows on everything: her bedroom walls, the garden fence, the mailbox. She told everyone who would listen about her brother's bravery, about her father's love, about the mother who found them in a hospital hall. Within grew peaceful. The lines on his face softened. The circles under his eyes disappeared. He laughed easily. He loved openly. He never stopped looking at me like I was the answer to a question he had been asking his whole life. And two grew roots, deep roots, the kind that cannot be pulled up, the kind that hold fast through storms and droughts and everything in between. I became a mother, not the kind who gives birth, the kind who stays, the kind who holds hands through treatments, who burns toast and makes pancakes, who watches stars and believes in bears, who keeps a faded rainbow sticker on the back of her hand long after the sticker has worn away, because it reminds her of the moment she stopped being afraid and started living. We told the twins about their first mother. We kept her photograph on the wall. We spoke her name. We honored her memory on her birthday, on the anniversary of her leaving, on ordinary days when Leo did something that reminded us of her, which was often. Lily painted her portrait. It hung in the living room. A woman with honey-colored eyes, smiling, watching proud. Leo kept her photograph on his nightstand beside his collection of stones, beside the necklace he had given Mayhay. Talked to her sometimes before bed. In the quiet moments when the house was still, he told her about his baseball games, about the garden, about the stars. He told her he was okay, that they were all okay, that she did not need to worry. And I knew somewhere in whatever comes after, she was listening. She was smiling. She was proud. The moral of this story is not complicated. Love is not about finding someone perfect. It is about finding someone who stays. Family is not about blood. It is about who shows up, who holds on, who refuses to let go. Courage is not about being unafraid. It is about being afraid and staying anyway. It is about Letting people see your fear and letting them help you carry it. Healing is not linear. There are good days and bad days, days when the sun shines and days when the rain falls. But the sun always comes back, the garden always grows, the stars always appear. Grief does not go away, it changes, it softens, it becomes something you carry instead of something that carries you. And hope is not about pretending everything will be easy. Hope is about knowing that even when it is hard, you are not alone. You have people who love you, people who will sit with you in the hospital, who will plant gardens with you, who will watch stars with you, who will stay. The greatest gift you can give someone is not a ring or a promise. It is your presence, your patience, your willingness to be there through the treatments, through the nightmares, through the burnt toast, and the overgrown gardens, through everything. The greatest risk you can take is not skydiving or traveling the world. It is opening your heart, letting someone in, letting them see who you really are, and trusting them to stay. I took that risk. I opened my heart in a hospital hallway to two small children who had lost their mother, to a man who had been searching for 3 years, to a life I had never planned, and it was the best thing I ever did. There is a porch swing now on a house with fresh paint. There is a garden that blooms every spring, tomatoes and basil and strawberries. The birds still eat the strawberries. No one minds. There are 4 chairs at the table, 4 plates, 4 toothbrushes, 4 hearts beating together. There is a woman with honey-colored eyes watching from the wall, smiling proud. There is a necklace with 2 stones resting against a heart that learned to love, a heart that learned to stay. There is a man who never stopped looking, who found what he was searching for in a hospital hallway on a rainy Tuesday. There are 2 children who called a stranger mom, who taught her that family is not about blood, it is about who stays. And there is a woman who built a fortress, who tore it down, who let the light in. She is not afraid anymore. She is not counting stars alone. She is not waiting for the other shoe to drop. She is sitting on a porch swing with her family around her, watching the stars appear one by one. Leo points. There is the Big Dipper. There is Orion. There is the bear, Ursa Major, the bear that is made of stars. Lily points. There is the bunny star. She still makes up names. She always will. Within puts his arm around May. Lean into him. Children lean into USA. Chain of leaning, a family of leaning. The night is quiet, the stars are bright, the garden is sleeping, the house is warm, and I am home. For everyone who reads this story, know that love is possible even when you think it is not. Know that healing is possible even when the wound feels fresh. Know that family is possible even when you feel alone. You do not have to build a fortress. You do not have to count stars alone. You do not have to be afraid. Open your heart, let someone in, let them see. You let them stay, be the one who stays for someone else. Show up, hold on, refuse to let go, plant gardens, fix swings, make pancakes, watch stars, believe that stars can be bears. Remember that the greatest thing you can give is not a thing at all. It is your time, your attention, your love. It is your willingness to sit in a hospital hallway with 2 small children who need someone and say, I will stay. The rainbow sticker faded long ago, but I remember I remember the small hand that pressed it onto my skin. I remember the words that came with it. Now you have a rainbow for when you are suddy. Have not been sad in a long time, but when I look at the back of my handy, see the rainbow that is not there, and I remember the day I stopped being afraid, the day I let love in, the day I became a mother, the day I became myself. The stars are bright tonight. Leo is naming them. Lily is renaming them. Ethan is humming. The swing is creaking, and I am here. I am home. I am loved. I am staying. That is the story. That is the lesson. That is everything. Love stays. Love always stays.